All you devils out there, happy Friday. Okay, well, now things change fast in this world we find ourselves in. So pretty radical change from the early part of the day, right? Now we've got the tariffs. I'll spare any commentary. You just have to deal with it, right? So as we sit here looking at this, I'm going to start with Bitcoin. We're going to look at maybe a bit more of a macro picture. Today, we'll tap into a few alts that have been looking promising, although I think risk just got rocked a bit here. So we'll dig into that. But let's start with Bitcoin here. So I've got a daily on Bitcoin. Where am I? I'm on Coinbase. I'm starting to get a little bit less optimistic about where we could be heading. And I guess my broader point here, I want something fat here. It looks to me like these upper targets here, 150, 160, starting to look like this is likely about as much as we might hope from this. This is starting to look like, okay, are we going to get an extension in the fifth? Well, that has been characteristic. You can see here in the 3, extension in the fifth. If we're going to get that high, we're going to need an extension in the fifth. It's not unlike Bitcoin to do that. But some of the, the very, very extreme bull porn, right? I think we're not likely to get there without a more substantial correction, right? And that kind of correction, now do we have to go 50%? Well, it wouldn't be atypical, right? So that's probably down the road. But right now, if you think about what we're looking at here, just right look, right? What would be more common like that, right? So something along those lines. Well, we're already to the 100%, right? We're not quite tagged it. 100% the length of the 1 projected from the proposed 4, and I'm being a little generous with that 4. So can we get beyond 100? Second most common, you're an extreme here, 175, 150 at the 382, starting to look like that might be a reasonable target here. Okay, so I know you can't see in there. I've adjusted the count a little bit because of this. It's just taking too long here. Now we have the other variable playing out here where risk is getting spanked a bit. Jesus Christ, I'm just looking at my trads portfolio. I think it was up 1,200 before I started getting ready for the video. Now down 1,200, right? So that's just, we have a lot of volatility and a lot of variability, and yeah, I will spare any political commentary. I don't really need to. I think everybody knows my views. Okay, so let's get in there. So I think the problem we have here is that this all up here, if I just keep it simple, this is taking too long. This is taking too long, which makes me think it's a 4, right? So if we go, let's go to a 4 here. We might be able to get a 4-hour. All right, now I have this. This is a nice, for those of you that I like to work with a regression channel. So just 2 standard deviations on either side. This is a nice little adaptive trend finder log, right? If you look for that. So if you're in log scale, you can still get a regression channel on that. Just wanted to hear, I'm going to take it off here just so you can see in there, but that's a nice tool. Okay, so I've gone back to an unpopular account, right, based on my subscribers. Right? I always get a lot of, oh, that's ridiculous, terrible Elliott, blah, blah, right? I think this is actually what we've got. This came from one of my senseis here that we went with a truncation 5 here, right? People hate that, but I don't really care. My view here is that we need this 2, the length of time of this 2, to balance out what's happening here. And while we've looked at variations of this, putting the 4 here via a triangle and then starting here, I don't think this works as well because now, again, this is just taking too long. So if I go 1 here into a 3, we work the craziness here into the 5, that's just too good, right? That's a perfect impulse, right? All self-contained within that channel. So it kind of, if you work backwards, it forces you into looking for a 1-2 here that would accommodate the length of time of the 4 here. Now, that's my opinion. Feel free to disagree and trade accordingly. But as I see it, this, I think we can, the impulse here is hard to dispute. So I think that 3 plays quite well. If we work backwards from that, needing the length of time in the 2 to get more balanced with the 4, I'm back to this. I think this is the better fit, right? Based on the data that we have right now. So the 4 is elusive. Is it here? Well, this is maybe the ugliest launch of an impulse I can recall. It doesn't look impulsive. Bulls are trying to find a way to make it look better than it is. It just looks to me like we're just in, I just drew it, right? We're just going sideways. What's characteristic of sideways? Wave 4, right? We stopped progressing the trend. Beautiful wave 3, right? Higher highs, higher lows, all the way. Now we're just stuck in a rut. Okay, so that suggests to me this is some sort of 4 going in, much as of course, I want to see it to the moon, but I just don't think that's what's happening here. So the clean impulse here. Now with that established, I'm going to take that off, and I've got it over here. Oh, and that's not what I want. I want this here. So let's put on the larger channel. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got a sliding parallel here. Should we break that channel trend line here, which would not be uncommon. This is kind of line in the sand for this count. I would propose to you as an order block here. We're kind of stuck here, right? So again, makes me think 3's in, and we're working through the 4. To go down deeper into that, there's a bit of wagging going on here, as in wild ass guesses. Is this valid? Yes. Is it ultra clean? Again, don't expect Elliott to be perfect. It's not. If you're expecting it to be, you'll be disappointed. It doesn't need to be, right, to still offer its value. At times we'll see it where it's just perfect, but don't go in and go, oh, it didn't give me a perfect. Is this a perfect 5 to give us that C? No, it's not. Does that make me want to change the count? We're going to dig a 1, 2 out of that, and then 3, 4. It's not perfect, but again, don't get caught up in trying to be perfect with your Elliott counts. Right? Often you've got to work with the implied count, and I think that's what we've got here. If the suggestion is the 4 is here, and this is going into some sort of 1, 2, I think that's just too much bullish hopium. This is just a clusterfuck. It's one of the ugliest counts I can recall seeing. But I mean, it's just not impulsive. And if it's a correction, we've just gotten it. It's become more complex, right? So how would a bull might look at this and say, okay, well, there's a 1. Here's my 2. Okay, maybe, right? Maybe. I'm not saying it can't happen, right? Of course, market's going to do what it's going to do. Okay, are we having to do this? I think last week this is kind of the thought that we've done. Okay, W, X, triangle B into the C. Okay, right. Well, look better this morning. Now things are changing. That sure looks like a 3 to me. So do we have to put in another X there? W, X, Y. Well, let's just do it on the fly here. A, B, C. So we got to add 1. W, X, Y, X, Z. Well, that would be a very unusual wave 2. So thus I'm losing that enthusiasm. I've lost that loving feeling for this being a 1, 2 with a launch, per the crypto friendly ad man, right? Again, I'll not get into any of that. Certainly all of the backdrop here, if indeed, right, some of the potential here is going to play out, right? I think I'm still bullish, right? Don't misunderstand me. But there's, just as a technician, this is hurry up and wait. This is so much uncertainty. Oh, again, even if you just did something like this up here and said, okay, we've got some pretty stiff supply up here. Oh, shit. I don't know if it matters. What am I trying to get to? Oh, shit. Let's call it a sell zone right here. So pushing, can't get anything. Can't get any legs here. Now, are we just doing a straight retrace? Well, we got to pay attention to that, right? Al does not care about an Elliott count, right? He's just going to work with pivot to pivot. I mean, it's not pretty. So it's not necessarily bad news for a long-term crypto bull or Bitcoin bull. If we retrace down here, typically that's healthy for the market. It gets the weak longs out, right? We lose some of the over leveraged traders here. The retail, gets hurt, right? We don't want to see anyone get hurt, but I would approach with caution here. There's just so much uncertainty about where we're going here, and there's some macro trends here that long term should be very bullish for Bitcoin, but in the short term, it's one You just never know what's going to come from the administration. We'll leave it at that. So I don't recommend anything here. We got to wait and see how this resolves going into next week. Now, for Bitcoin, I mean, that's not a radical move. You know, what have we gone here from 106 to 102? Right? I mean, that's welcome to Bitcoin. But to try and force this into a 2, okay, if it cleans itself up down here, maybe. Again, line in the sand down here before this is going to get reworked, and the 4 is likely going to float lower. Here, my machine's lagging a little bit. All right, so potential, right, where's our 2? Way down here. Where would the 38 be? So don't eliminate this possibility just because we've got a crypto-friendly admin coming in. Oh, you know, we could be down here at 82, 50%, 75. Wouldn't kill the bull by any means. But again, it's just all the more the reason why I think we're in a 4 here, not a 1-2. It's my view. Feel free to disagree and trade accordingly. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go to a couple of alts here. Hang on a sec. Okay, I want to look at Solana. Oh, this is some much better looking Elliott. Although we are still, you know, similar as risk assets. We've had all of this chop here now and then the sell-off, you know, for the price action just across risk. This is such good Elliott here. If I pull back here, I should have done this before I started here. Let me get into the log here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, we're trying to get this thing to fly into a 5 for these upper targets here. All of this potentially up here 700, 800. Okay, so 3, 4, again, very complex. It's just like Bitcoin, just the same kind of thing. We're just going sideways, 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 sideways. Then we do get traction from that consolidation. We get the expansion. Oh, let me go down to a 3 hour, see if we can get into that. Looks like we did a WXYX, right? Because same thing we're proposing for Bitcoin. Then we did an ABC into another X, and then we went into a Y. So we have a 1, 2, that's probably hard for you to see. 1, 2 via the WXYXZ. Is it gorgeous in there in terms of the relationship between the first WXY and the second? No. Is it valid? Yeah, it's valid. Do I have high conviction in it? Well, I'm not sure it matters here, right? So this, okay, we've got a pivot down here. You've got all the footprints that you would look for of whales coming into play this. Here's the correction. Here's the launch, right? We get a new high. We do get a break of structure, right? This is undeniably a break of structure as we get that good close. So push, what do we anticipate? I say it every week after a break of structure. We anticipate a retracement. We're getting it, but we're getting it in this chop. So the targets down here. Sorry. I mean, if we get the opportunity to buy it down here, let's get that something. Oh, gray box will work. Right. So if we can get the opportunity down here to buy this a little bit lower, again, come on down, right? Don't be disappointed if you get an opportunity to buy it at a lower price. Now, of course, I'm not suggesting that we're hoping that we do this, right? But if we can come down here and find some support. Now, there's not going to be a lot of support because this went up so fast. So if I just do, you've seen me do this many times, right? So just looking here, okay, we're in the value area. We don't really want to see this go too far without some rejection. So if we're coming down here, there's nothing here to really hold it. A little bit of support here, maybe that high volume node here. Once it gets to the ledges, right, we want these to hold. Otherwise, right, there's just, because we went straight up. There's no support there. So this here being the ledge here of value from the low here is kind of an important level. So while I wouldn't be disappointed if we were to drop lower here into the golden, okay, but I don't want to see it stay. I don't want it to consolidate here. I want this to be this kind of a thing, right? Come down and pop out of here, because the demand, hopefully, right? The idea is the demand will be so strong here, people will see this as an opportunity, and then off we go towards the 3 or the one of the 3. That would be my. Well, that's what I'm looking for, right? So if I can buy this if this sweeps these lows here, and we can buy this a little bit lower around 200, I'll be aggressively buying. That's me, just me. It's not financial advice, as they say. It's just what I plan to do. Right? I'm pretty long, but I would like to be longer here in Solana. So again, right now, would I do anything? No. No, going into the weekend, again, you never know. We're in tariffs this week, next week, this month, next month. You never know what's going to come. So I would approach a little bit cautiously. Okay, so that's Solana. Hang on, I had one more here. I'm pulling this from AltFins as well. Oh, this is on their hot. Let's bring this over here. So the Solana and Algorand here, because what I'm looking for here is, this is just one weeklies in an uptrend during in the process of a pullback, and then I sort them based on their market cap and total revenue. So these are the two that look most promising. So that's why we're focused over here. Oh, where'd I go? Oh, Algorand here. Now, let's pull back to a daily. Pretty good launch here. Deep 2 looks like 1, 2, 3. It's tempting to think triangle, but I don't think we do have a triangle here. It looks like it, right? So you might call this a pennant, but we've got a 5 here. Okay, B, right? You could work that as a 3, but I think you're stuck with the 5 here. So the triangle, I think, is less probable. He said, not much of a. That does look like a 3. So. I don't think we can't do a WXY here. I think you're stuck with that 5. So that takes the triangle off the table. So thus more of a pennant type of formation. This could come down here. Additionally, we haven't swept any liquidity on that low. So you might, at the very least, want to see it sweep this right down here. Maybe we get the 40. This is juicy, although that order block has already been tapped, right? This was already mitigated, so it really is not in play anymore. The trend line, it's hard to ignore the trend line, right? We can all see that, but I don't think we want to trade that as a triangle. Just at least per what we're looking at right now, and the 5 here being what's influencing that. Doesn't change the bullish potential here for this to be heading towards the 5th of the 3rd at this degree. Well, let me pull this back out. 1, 2, right? We need a 3, 4, right? Very bullish potentially for a 5. Lots of potential for that to come back up to previous highs. Right? I think I'm on Coinbase here, so I have full history. $3, $4. Could we get there? We could get there. But again, careful of just. I know it looks like perfect triangle. Not so fast. Okay, right. There's that one. Those are the two that I had. How am I doing? 17 minutes. Those are the two I had from the alt space in addition to Bitcoin. Ethereum. Until that chart looks better, I'm going to stay away from it. Let's talk a little bit macro here. So hang on a sec. Okay, let's take a look at the 10-year bond yield, because this is perhaps the most significant chart here on the board as we're dealing with some of these macro trends. It's probably a good idea to pay attention to this. 5% is where this is going to be a real problem for the equities market and for the risk on mania that we're all seeing there, right? Driven by AI. Certainly, there's been some misses and hits, but the general consensus is AI is going to drive us higher, and that eventually rates are going to come down. You'll note here I'm going out into 26 here with the proposed path of yields. So I'm sure most of you know, right, this is the inverse to the price. So yields going higher, price going lower. Now, yields going lower, price going higher. So as we look at this here, the Elliott is hard to argue with, right? It's a little funky at the low. Oh, that's COVID, right? So, but 1, 2, the impulse here, oh my God, can it get any prettier? 1, 2, 1, 2, impulse in the 3. It's got it's just spectacular, Elliott, right? Again, it's not. I don't mean my labeling of it. I mean the way the market is moving, right? 5s and 3s. Right, that's how it moves. ABC here into a prospective W. Now, could this turn and we're going higher, go over 5%? In the world we're in, absolutely it could, right? But all the forces of power are doing everything they can to avoid that, because that will really rock the stock market. So, keep an alert on it. We get over 5%, the stock market's not going to like that. So is this a WX and we're going to come down for a Y into a 4? Kind of looks that way, right? Could we then head higher, right? I know, right? You try and think that through. Well, how could that be happening in 26? The last, 2 years from now, right? We get another election. So just don't trade what you think, trade what you see, right? Does that look like we're not? Okay, we can't eliminate the possibility there's a clear 5 here, that this is going to be a 1-2 shallow 2 and another 1-2, and this is just going to keep going higher. Well, if that's the case, right, equities are going down. That won't be good for Bitcoin either. It's not so much that it directly affects Bitcoin, it's that it affects risk assets, right? So people often will pull, if the stock market starts tanking, right, they'll sell Bitcoin, right, to cover margin calls and everything else, right? So, but we don't need to go there just yet. Right now, this sure looks like a clean WX, like a W, skinny X, but that we'd be heading down now into a Y, heading for that 4 in all of this consolidation down here, which sits untapped. So let's get that right on it, right? So a little toe went in here, something like that. Looks very reasonable, right? This isn't going against the grain here, right? All the forces that can impose power or influence on rates here are working, right? Everybody wants rates down. Are they going to get it? Well, there's a technical path that might get us there. So something to keep an eye on, particularly if you have long exposure in the market, right? If this starts to go up again, right, and we head towards 5. I'm doing the same thing, right? I'm very hedged because I have a lot of long equity exposure. So while today, okay, it's reducing the impact of the sell-off we've had, but I wouldn't be just nakedly long, right? Word to the wise. Okay, so that's the 10-year. Now, a couple of different ways to trade that, assuming you're interested. I mean, you can go to the TLT. You can go into, hang on a second. This is one that I will play. This is this is an ETF that does the opposite of bonds. So this is a bearish bond ETF here. So it's an Invesco DB US Index bearish ETF. So bearish meaning if prices are going up, right? So you would be long this, right? On the assumption if prices are going up. So I've got a small position here. I took it yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got a 1, 2. I'm looking for that to come out of here. You might look for something like that to come off of the lows here on the assumption, right, that yields are going to come down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially. Just something to keep an eye on. But again, for those traders, right, it's just another way to express your views on whether or not this is indeed going to start to come down. Now, same thing over here. We'll look at gold and silver real quickly, right? Because these are, gold just wicked. What did we hit? 2,800. Looks like a very reasonable path to get up here towards 3,000 and higher. Let me get that back here. All right. Again, you can trade this in futures. You can trade it in the GLD. That's how often I'll do it with options. 1, 2, a little wacky here, right? This was, you're kind of stuck with that A, B, C into that, or WXY, almost doesn't matter. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got a good looking 3. 1, 2, 3. Looks like we've got a running flat there. Again, see, it's not pretty, right? But there it is, right? It looks like we're off out of the chute here, swept the high. What would that be? Break of structure. What do we anticipate after a break of structure? Now, just because we broke there, let's do it this way. Doesn't mean, we're retracing immediately. I mean, it could go for a while before we start that retrace. And in fact, you might anticipate that, because if this is 3 and that's 4, you're looking for 5, right? Now, we're going to do this in a straight line? Probably not. Right? It's not typically how the market, although it can do it. My expectation would be we're going to do it right into typical, 5s to finish that, but that would be the 3 we'd be finishing relative to the 1, 2 here. So we're trying to get to the 3 for the 4. Whoops. Get you back here. 4 for the 5 of 3. Right. So all of this is so incredibly bullish for gold. Right along with Bitcoin, right? You don't have to be Bitcoin only. Right, for those of you who like to diversify, this looks very promising, but now with that break of structure, we want to wait for the retrace. So don't chase, let me rephrase that. I would strongly encourage you not to buy the highs. So I've been saying that for a long time, right? You can learn from me, or you can learn from others, right, who would tell you the same thing, or you can learn from the market, right? It will punish doing something like that. Okay, right. So it's up to you, right? But I would not buy that. Let's wait. Just be patient, right? There's no need to, you're not going to miss anything. Even if it does that, it will likely come back and retest the breakout zone, right? Break and retest, as they say. So one to watch, right? And we looked at silver. Hang on. Wanted to look at silver. One of the prettiest counts on the board. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just spectacular impulse here. Now, are we done here? Could be. That's not a great looking start, right? Again, it's kind of the same thing. Oh, could we be done? Well, yeah, we could. Right down a degree. It's perfect ABC into that 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Again, that just is, you know, how anyone can argue with Elliott Wave, right? It's just, you know, you have to deliberately not allow your eye to see it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perhaps, right? 4 needs a little more time over here to balance out. This took a lot of time. Look how this regression channel, again, in log scale, just frames it perfectly. So 4 over here at the 38. Well, we tapped it once right here at this order block. Could we go? Looks okay. It's not a great looking start. This is a double here, so ABC looks a little. Certainly, one possibility is here we're going to go WX, and we'll come down here for the Y. Maybe mitigate some of this. That only got a partial tap here. This would be one to watch for. You can see here, I am long here, but anticipating to play this on both sides of it. So if this is going to play like this, okay, great. If we're going to do this and then come down again, I'm not expecting this. I'm not trading it for that. For the very short term, you're better to go to the futures market here, because that double here kind of leaves you a little bit frustrated. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? A 1, 2. Let's dig in there. I think this is just a tick higher. So you could be looking at this. 3, 4, 5, something like that. ABC, right? So now you've got the overlap here. So it doesn't play as well. This, even here, you still have an overlap. So it makes me think, but the candidate here is this could be, we could be going into a B here. So for a reload down here, that would be something to keep your eyes on, right? Again, for trad traders, you could trade this. This is the ETF as well. Just so we're not all crypto all the time, right? Again, as far as I'm concerned, the chart doesn't matter, right? I don't care what it is, right? Trads, FX, crypto. They all trade the same way, right? Because people trade them the same way, and the algos do the same thing. So 3, 4, is it in? Don't know. I would like to see that get a little more traction. That golden's going to be tough to break, right? So that might set us up here. So another one for your watch list. I like to kind of get you armed and ready for any of that price action if there's not something right on the board. So we've looked at algo. We looked at Solana. Let's finish here now. Let's go over to the S&P. Hang on. No, let's do the NQ first. Okay, this count has gotten adjusted a few times here. I'm going to work from. Well, let's get this wicked off here. Right, so everybody is so very bullish of tech. This count has been reworked a few times. All right, we're trying to correct through this. We're trying to just get a handle on the correction here. One premise is this is all just part of a bigger four, and we're going up higher. So we can do this as a W. Let me get that out of there. As a W. So it would be A, B, C into a B. So A, B, straight 5 down for the C for a W. Now this looked like we were going 1, 2, right? So with the deep seek freak out. So we have an X and a candidate. Again, it looked like, oh, is this something else happening here? Now it looks like an ABC. So it looks like we're going to go A, B, and come down for the C. Again, if the tariff, again, day to day, who knows what he's going to do? But if we're going to come down here for this C here, healthy for the market, it's going to get everybody nervous, get everybody bearish, right? So that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? I'm talking about this for the last couple of weeks. When everybody is so bullish, it just makes me really not want to buy anything, right? It's just when that many people on the same side of the boat tends to capsize and then recorrect. And that's, I think, what we're starting to see here. I mean, that's a pretty good move here for the NQ in the futures, right? That's a pretty good push. Oh God, it was like some I shouldn't be looking at my traditional portfolio here as I'm recording this, but certainly it's been a big downdraft here off of this. So NQ is getting hammered here. You don't see it the same way here on a 4-hour here, but it's getting hammered. So the idea that this was corrective, right? And we didn't get a push here. So WXAB, here's the value area, right? We pushed up right into this high volume node. Okay, here's POC at the very least, right? You'd expect a revisit here. Often the POC is a good target. Now, do we go through to the other side of value? Right, would not be unreasonable. See, truncated? I doubt it. So where's the, whenever you pull up a chart like this, the first question is, where's the liquidity? Any question about where it's going to be? We know it's going to be there. Can we get there? Well, that's going to freak the market out. A little caution, right? It's so easy to get caught up in the AI is going to revolutionize the world. And I'm not saying it's not, right? In the long term, we're not ultimately looking at new highs. I'm just saying don't be reckless with it. Get to the chart. What do you see, right? It's so easy to get caught up in the media, on your Twitter feed or your Blue Sky. Shit, I'm up. Blue Sky feed or whatever it is that you're looking for, where you're looking for that financial news, right? I don't know what you use, but it's easy to get caught up in the hype of it. It just takes one, whatever he does, truth, the ultimate misnomer, right? So it just takes one Trump truth tweet, whatever the fuck he does, right? And things can change fast. Okay, let's finish with the S&P. This looks better than the NQ because we got this break of structure up here. So this was the previous high, right? So just to complete the notion here, so that is your break of structure. What do we anticipate after a break of structure? Feel like a broken record, right? But so again, same kind of thing. Oh, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Earnings are great. Break of structure, right to the 50. I can say it 1,000 times, right? When we see a break of structure, we anticipate. We don't know it's going to be the next day or next 2 days, but we're anticipating the retrace, which is good for a bull. It's healthy for the market. It's healthy for the trend. So here's a golden zone sitting down here. We're going to go ABC into the 2 here. Well, unusual that the S&P and the NASDAQ, have different price patterns here. The NASDAQ looks, well, certainly it's potentially the most overvalued. So the broader market here to come down for a 2 here, I'm still holding for that 2. Right, same thing. I'm just taking, well, this is anchored VWAP from the proposed 4 low down here. You can see it cut to the tick here. And I'm pulling from that 2 low. That's the volume profile here. So we're staying in that range. Okay. We just got on the other side of the POC, which might suggest that we're heading at least to the low end of the value, the low end of the range of value. We're going to break below that. Well, there's golden zone down there waiting for it. So that I would be looking, if we were to do this, right? Again, nobody knows, but if we were to do this, I'm a buyer down here, right? Anticipating that. Okay, that's 33. I'm trying to keep this one kind of short today. And that's about all I got, right? Don't feel like you didn't always need to be doing something. Right? When you have this kind of uncertainty and all of a sudden we have a volatility event and no idea, how it plays out. But when you have that, right, don't feel like you need to be in the market or, always doing something. Sometimes it's better to just let things settle down. And it might look different next week. Okay, guys, with that, I'll wish you a good weekend. As always, TradeDevils.com if you want to join us. Our Discord is totally free. You can always jump in there. Look around, talk to the other traders, just DM, say, what's it like in here? And I always say, never take my advice for anything. Right? Well, I shouldn't say that. Never take my advice about the quality of our content. Take it from the people that have already done it, right? I think it's good, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't put it up and make it available. But don't take my word for it. Take their word for it. If you like the way we approach the market, which again, I always try and stress that I'm not here to, I'm not flexing here. I'm just applying the methodology that we teach. And I add in 30 years of experience and you got the Trade Devils methodology. Okay, guys, have a good weekend. We'll catch you next week.